Volvo Ocean Race is the world's toughest team challenge for any professional sailor. A 9-month, nearly 40,000-mile marathon encountering every hardship that the planet's oceans can deliver. 7 identical boats set out to circumnavigate the globe. Dongfeng Race Team was a team with a mission. A mission to reignite offshore sailing in China. Unbelievably, this grand nation that once had the largest navy in the world now didn't have any sailors experienced in tackling modern ocean racing. Dongfeng's first task was to find Chinese rookies and train them from scratch. Under the leadership of skipper Charles Caudrelier, 12 Chinese sailors were chosen after rigorous selection trials in Sanya, China. The new Volvo Ocean 65 raceboat Dongfeng was shipped by Maersk Line to China so training could begin in earnest. This wasn't just about strength and enthusiasm, but survival. Caudrelier knew how dangerous the race was, and he had to be certain that those chosen would be up to the task, for their own safety and that of the rest of the crew. After a long and emotional series of trials, 6 young men earned the chance to join the team. Horace, a natural-born competitor. Wolf, tough and committed. Black, the youngest sailor in the race. Kit, easygoing but determined. Kong, recruited from the CYA Olympic program. And Leo, a natural athlete. They would race in partnership with an elite crew of experienced ocean sailors. An amazing opportunity to learn from the best and be part of an incredible journey. The team were fortunate to be backed by serious Chinese partners. Dongfeng Trucks, Aeolus Tires and the city of Xi'an. Each had their own global ambitions and understood the mission of the team. They and the team's other partners believed that together, anything is possible. For Dongfeng Race Team, their mission wasn't about winning the race outright. In fact, finishing a few of the legs on the podium would be a major achievement. But as the race unfolded, the underdogs quickly showed their potential and their determination against the other professional crews. Caudrelier and his new crew immediately made an impact on the first leg of the race to Cape Town. The racing was exceptionally close and a real baptism of fire for Horace and Wolf, who wrote, "I never imagined every day would be a fight for survival." Despite a nighttime collision which broke the rudder, forcing it to be replaced in difficult conditions, the Dongfeng boat sailed on to deliver an extraordinary result. Second place on leg 1, just behind race favourite Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. In leg 2, they unbelievably almost went one better, despite suffering a serious mast-trap problem that would plague them for the entire race. In the closing hours of the leg, victory seemed within their reach, but Team Brunel had been chasing hard, and their own line of breeze saw them pass Dongfeng and cross the finish line just 16 minutes ahead. Dongfeng Race Team, though, had established themselves as a real contender, now in a 3-way tie for first overall. Leg 3, Abu Dhabi to Sanya, China, the home port of the Dongfeng team. The incentive for a big podium finish could not have been greater. It was one of the trickiest legs to sail, passing through some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. But the team led virtually from start to finish and delivered the sweetest of victories, one considered unimaginable just a few months before. Dongfeng were leading the race overall, and by now the unique story was attracting a growing fan base from not just China but around the world, and the media were taking notice. Dongfeng were leading the race overall. By now, the unique story was attracting a growing fan base from not just China, but around the world, and the media were taking notice. Dongfeng left Sanya on a high. The team had won the import race and led the fleet out of China, destination Auckland, New Zealand. But things were about to get tough. A week into the leg and they were lying last. Determined, the team fought their way back to the front of the fleet as they neared the finish. Then, another twist of fortune. The wind and their advantage vanished.
We're in absolutely no wind at the moment.
Any hope of back-to-back leg victories was lost. However, Dongfeng's third place was enough to keep them on top of the overall standings, sharing the lead with favourites Abu Dhabi Racing. The full might of the infamous Southern Ocean now lay before them on leg 5.
Are you happy to be here? Yes. Are you happy to be here?
I just want to say yes, but after a big wave, I don't want to say yes. But still, yes, it's a good challenge.
Caudrelier knew the journey to Cape Horn could be the most treacherous. And on night 13, it did deliver a devastating blow. Their mast broke.
Everybody on deck! Everybody on board! Take light! Take light on! We broke the mast, guys!
Yeah, the mast was broken over the third sputter. The main problem for us right now is that we have 4 or 5 meters of the mast flying.
The broken mast was irreparable at sea. The team were forced to retire from the leg, earning the maximum 8 penalty points and denting their hopes of an overall podium place in the race.
Ready, guys? It will go very quick, huh? Ready?
The crew found themselves in a broken boat at the bottom of the world. The team, who were joint race leaders, were now fighting to stay in the game. It was a race against time to get the boat to Brazil and to source and fit a new mast in time for the start of the next leg. If they didn't make the deadline, all hopes of an overall podium place would be lost. Whilst all other teams were partying at the stopover in Brazil, Dongfeng's shore crew had a massive round-the-clock workload. The shore team delivered. Dongfeng were on the start line for leg 6. Caudrelier and his team needed an impressive result to stay in touch with the front of the fleet.
You must. Come on. Get faster.
What they couldn't have expected, though, was a whole new issue which once again threatened their chances of finishing. A broken water maker meant the crew could not keep up safe levels of fluid intake, nor cook any of the freeze-dried meals. They would once again be forced to retire if it couldn't be fixed. Whilst desperate repairs continued, the rest of the crew were locked in a constant duel up the coast of South America, knowing their efforts could all be futile. But they weren't. The water maker was fixed, and their determination was rewarded with a win into Newport by just 3.5 minutes, keeping the team in second place on the overall leaderboard. The final legs of the race were to test the team's resolve. Racing the transatlantic, even the other teams believed Dongfeng had done enough. But on the final approach to the finish in Lisbon, they were becalmed at the entrance to the River Tagus. And a mistake allowed Alva Medica to pass and take third by just 55 seconds. This was only the second time in the race that Dongfeng had not achieved a podium place. The team struggled to come back with full confidence, ultimately contributing to a mistake on the first night of leg 8. The all-female team of SCA sailed away and won their only leg of the race. Dongfeng suffered their worst result of the race, last place to their adopted French home port of Lorient. As the team raced to the finish in Gothenburg, Sweden, they were now fighting to stay on the overall podium. The final places of a race around the world were decided in the last moments. Dongfeng held on to second for most of the leg, but in the last few hundred metres, the wind abandoned them. They crossed the line in 4th. But that result was enough to ensure that Dongfeng Racing Team finished 3rd in the overall rankings of the Volvo Ocean Race. The 12th edition of the race had delivered the closest racing ever seen. When Dongfeng entered this epic race, few anticipated this team of Western pros and Chinese rookies would ever be in the fight for the podium. But right from the start, they were. They led the race overall, They could have been forced out with a broken mast, but they battled back. In the end, they finished third overall against the best in the world. This team defied the odds, and the determined men of Dongfeng ultimately became a team that could win. If not this time, then in the future.